I'm Rick Party. It is time for Rick Party's Notebook, news from around the world and in our communities from my perspective. Well, it started with Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell saying this.
We cannot keep drifting apart into two separate tribes with a separate set of facts and separate realities, with nothing in common except our hostility towards each other and mistrust for the few national institutions that we all still share.
That was Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell as they were certifying the Electoral College count of the presidential election on Wednesday night at Capitol Hill. Before all hell broke loose, Mitch said this.
It would be unfair and wrong to disenfranchise American voters and overrule the courts and the states on this extraordinarily thin basis. And I will not pretend such a vote would be a harmless protest gesture while relying on others to do the right thing. I will vote to respect the people's decision and defend our system of government as we know it.
So with Mitch McConnell not supporting the president of the United States, he's losing badly. He doesn't know what to do. He'd already given the go-ahead for his supporters to do what they had to do. And then Mike Pence's lack of support for the president just really sent him down spiraling after that.
But we're going to try and give our Republicans, the weak ones, because the strong ones don't need any of our help, we're going to try and give them the kind of pride and boldness that they need to take back our country. So let's walk down Pennsylvania Avenue. I want to thank you all. God bless you, and God bless America.
And that was the okay that Trump's supporters needed. So they scaled the walls of Capitol Hill. They breached security. Outnumbered by Trump's supporters, they ransacked Capitol Hill while members of the House bunkered down until Mike Pence made that call to bring in the big dogs. The National Guard, the FBI, everybody was called in. And when it's all said and done, at the very least, 3 people allegedly died, one from a gunshot wound. Well, after being banned on social media for at least 24 hours, Trump sent his press secretary, Kayleigh McEnany, to send this message.
I am here to deliver this message on behalf of the entire White House. Let me be clear. The violence we saw yesterday at our nation's Capitol was appalling, reprehensible, and antithetical to the American way. We condemn it, the president and this administration, in the strongest possible terms. It is unacceptable, and those that broke the law should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. I stood here at this podium the day after a historic church burned amid violent riots, and I said this: the First Amendment guarantees the right of the people to peaceably assemble. What we saw last night in Washington and across the country was not that, end quote. Make no mistake, what we saw yesterday afternoon in the halls of our Capitol likewise was not that. We grieve for the loss of life and those injured, and we hold them in our prayers and close to our hearts at this time. We thank our valiant law enforcement officers who are true American heroes. What we saw yesterday was a group of violent rioters undermining the legitimate First Amendment rights of the many thousands who came to peacefully have their voices heard in our nation's capital. Those who violently besieged our Capitol are the opposite of everything this administration stands for. The core value of our administration is the idea that all citizens have the right to live in safety, peace, and freedom. Those who are working in this building are working to ensure an orderly transition of power. Now it is time for America to unite, to come together, to reject the violence that we have seen. We are one American people under God. Thank you very much.
So the president sends Kayleigh McEnany, White House press secretary, to do his dirty work. And she walked away with answering any questions from the press. I am so glad Mike Pence was vice president for one day and called this election.
The announcement of the state of the vote by the President of the Senate shall be deemed a sufficient declaration of the persons elected President and Vice President of the United States, each for the term beginning on the 20th day of January 2021, and shall be entered together with the list of the votes on the journals of the Senate and the House of Representatives.
Meanwhile, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi was steaming hot. She can still smell the man's feet on her desk the other night. She wants President Trump out and the 25th Amendment invoked.
The President has committed an unspeakable assault on our nation and our people. I join the Senate Democratic leader in calling on the Vice President to remove this president by immediately invoking the 25th Amendment. If the Vice President and Cabinet do not act, the Congress may be prepared to move forward with impeachment. That is the overwhelming sentiment of my caucus.
I love Auntie Nancy. Well, sadly, after the mess that Trump created, Senator Lindsey Graham still does not support impeaching Trump.
As to the 25th Amendment being invoked, I do not believe that's appropriate at this point. I'm looking for a peaceful transfer of power. I'm looking for the next 14 days to reset, and we will hand off power in a traditional sense by being a peaceful transfer.
It's a damn shame. Well, listen, that's all I got on my notebook for Rick Party's notebook. News from around the world and in our communities from my perspective.